Namaste. Hope all of you are doing very well today, and I hope you are all enjoying the beautiful stories that are being narrated on this fantastic channel. And without further ado, let me jump to the story that I am going to tell you today. It's a story from Shiva Purana, and some of you might know most of the stories from Indian scriptures come from five major sources: Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Vedas and the Upanishads, and then the Puranas. So my personal interest is the Puranic stories because they are short stories. They are not one long epic like the Ramayana or the Mahabharata. They are all a lot of short stories that are put together to make up a full Purana. There are 18 Mahapuranas, and Shiva Purana is one of them. If you can excuse me for just 1 second. This you know what, the letters kind of show inverted, but what it reads here is the glory of Shiva Purana. This is a book published by the esteemed Ramakrishna Mutt Chennai, and I have had the blessings of the God and all the elders to provide the story for this, and some fantastic illustrations have gone into this book, and I'll be using this book as I tell you the story, and please do read if you get a chance, and if you can get hold of the book. So the story starts when two of the three mighty gods get into a fight. Who are the three mighty gods? Who are the Holy Trinity? Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. So once a war broke out between Brahma and Vishnu. Yeah, can you believe that? Even the gods fought. What happened exactly was something not really great. It was not for some great divine reason that these two gods fought. It was for a fairly trivial reason. Once Brahma went to Vishnu in Vaikuntha, and once again, you all know that Vishnu lives in Vaikuntha, right? Shiva lives in Kailasa, Indra lives in Amaravati, and Vishnu lives in Vaikuntha. So when Brahma went there, Brahma just went there, not out of any purpose, just to visit his good friend. Brahma went to Vaikuntha, and if you have also seen the pictures of Vishnu and have heard stories of Vishnu, he is usually lying down on Adishesha. Ananta, that's why he is also called Ananta Shayana. Ananta is another name for the mighty snake that provides rest for Lord Vishnu to lie down on the ocean, and there is Lakshmi at the foot of Vishnu. So when Brahma went to visit Vishnu was lying down on Adishesha, and he was very happy to see his friend. He said, "Oh, Lord Brahma, what a pleasure. Please have a seat." Lord Brahma, after 2 seconds, got angry. Can you believe that? Out of the blue, Brahma's anger rose. And then Vishnu did not understand why Brahma was suddenly looking very angry, and he asked, "Hey, what's going on? What's wrong? Is anything wrong?" Brahma blurted. He said, "How dare you, Lord Vishnu? I have come all the way to visit you, and you did not even get up to greet me. Forget greeting a friend. Forget greeting a guest. I am your creator. I am the creator of this entire universe, and I am the creator of you. You did not even respect my greatness." At first, Vishnu was not really perturbed by Brahma's anger. He said, "Hey, you know what? I didn't mean to insult you at all. I've had a really long day, so I was just resting." But Brahma wouldn't stop. He went on and on and on, and then even Vishnu got angry. Vishnu said, "Hey, listen, I apologize for not getting up as a guest, but if you say you're greater than me, I don't accept that. You may have forgotten, but you actually originated from my navel. There was a lotus and attached to my navel, and that is where you were born. How can you say that you are greater than me? Of course I am greater than you. I am your creator." Okay, you know what? The war of the words went on for a while. I am greater, I am greater, I am greater, you are smaller. And then they are mighty gods. They don't just war with words. All the other gods had also assembled to watch this, huge fight going on between Brahma and Vishnu. Now, half the gods took Vishnu's side and the other half took Brahma's side. And what happened next? The gods had weapons, Brahmastra, Pashupatastra, and all kinds of magnificent weaponry. So they started shooting weapons at each other. The god shot, Vishnu shot, Brahma shot, the arrows are clanging. And when all of this is happening, you know what's happening on earth? Each time the arrows clanged, there were tsunamis and there were earthquakes, there were floods and people were drowning. But these two gods showed no signs of stopping. They fought and they fought and they fought, and this really devastated the Rishi Narada. Some of you at least, might also know about Narada. Usually he is depicted as a very naughty sage who brings fights between two people. But in this case, Narada wanted to play a mediator. But he knew in the middle of that war, his mediation would be completely useless. So who did he go to? The third mighty god, Maheshwara. So Narada, along with a few other sages, went to Shiva and said, Lord Shiva, please stop these two gods from warring with each other. It's creating havoc on earth. Brahma is going to destroy all the worlds he created so painstakingly. Shiva nodded. He said, yes, I've been observing what's happening. It's very unfortunate, but don't worry about it. You all go back and do your penance and do your meditation. I'll take care of it. So in the meanwhile, the war is continuing in full zoom between Vishnu and Brahma. The weapons are still being hurled. And suddenly, in the middle of all this, there is Brahma's side and here there is Vishnu's side. In the middle, there was a humongous column of fire. The gods look up. There is no end that they can see to this flame. They look down. There is no beginning that they can see to this flame. And whatever arrows they are shooting at each other, the flame is just eating up all those arrows. Let me see if I can show you a picture which is so beautifully drawn. Yeah. Here. Can you see this? So, yeah, this is the flame. The one you can see here is the flame. And yeah, as you can see, I really love these illustrations. They really bring the story to life. Yeah, these are just some of the random pictures that I'm showing just to show the illustration. So now both Brahma and Vishnu are very perplexed. What's happening? Our weapons have become useless. This flame is eating up all the weapons that we are hurling. That's what happened. Every weapon that comes at the flame just swallows it. It just burns it. There's no trace of the flame. Then Vishnu comes around, Brahma comes around. They both are standing there looking at the flame. And then Vishnu tells Brahma, look, this war has gone on long enough. I propose a solution. Brahma looked at Vishnu quizzically. What would that be? Vishnu said, look, one of us will find where this flame is beginning at the very top. Another of us will find where this flame is ending at the very bottom. Whoever first finds the top or the bottom, we will declare him the winner. We will declare that particular person greater than the other. Brahma said, okay, that sounds good, but I am going up. Vishnu said, no problem, you go up. So now Brahma took the form of a swan and started flying up. And Vishnu took the form of a boar and started digging down. Now first let's think about what Vishnu did. Vishnu went down and further down, and he went past the different worlds, went past the earth, went beneath the earth. No sign of that flame ending. The flame just continued next to him. All through his journey downwards, there is this flame next to him. After many such hundreds of years, Vishnu thought, there is so much else to do, so much work to do. I don't want to, fight this contest anymore. Let me just go back up and declare Brahma the winner. Let me just declare that, he is greater than me. So he came back up. There are all the gods and the sages, everybody is still milling around, nobody knows the result of this contest, but there is still no sign of Brahma. In the meanwhile, Brahma flew up and flew up as a swan. Even he is exhausted because there is no end in sight of the flame. It kept getting running, it kept getting next to him. It was always there. Brahma flies, there is the flame. Brahma flies, there is the flame. Just when Brahma was so exhausted, he saw a flower falling in front of him. He looked at it closely. It was a white, beautiful Ketaki flower. Brahma asked, "Hey, stop! Stop. Where are you coming from, Ketaki?" Ketaki said, "Well, I was on Lord Shiva's mane, the jate, but he shook his head and I fell off his jate, so I am now just free falling, not going anywhere, I'm just falling." Then Brahma thought of a slightly wicked idea. Well, actually it's quite a wicked idea. He told Ketaki, "Hey, Ketaki, look, I am Brahma. I can actually help you at some point in time, not now, but at some point in time. Like, you know what they say, I owe you one sort. If you help me now." Ketaki is like, "Okay, what do you want?" Brahma explained the contest between him and Vishnu, and Brahma said, "Look, I'm going to go down and I'm going to tell everyone that I saw the top of the flame. I was at the very top, and you have to say that you saw me next to the top of the flame. You have to corroborate. You have to be my evidence that I saw the top of the flame." Ketaki said, "Hey, but that's lying." Brahma said, "Please, please do this for me. I really want to win this contest. I want to prove to Vishnu that I'm greater than him." Ketaki said, "Okay, fine. You know what? It's a simple white lie. No harm." So Ketaki agreed, and they both came down, and Brahma very excitedly told everyone, "I saw the top of the flame. I finally reached the top of the flame." And Ketaki, tell them. So Ketaki said, "Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Brahma was all the way at the top of the flame, and I was right next to him." So then Vishnu folded his hands before Brahma and said, "Even if you hadn't seen the top of the flame, I was willing to accept my defeat and say, you know what, this contest is over. I'll accept you as someone greater than me. So now anyway, you have won fair and square." Brahma felt slightly guilty, but then he's like, yeah, sure. And then Vishnu said, "You know what, you're greater than me. I'm sorry I offended you, and let's all go back." Just when they are all about to disperse, the flame disappeared. And in the place of the flame stood Maheshwara. He looked at Brahma very disappointedly. He said, "Brahma, you are the creator of the universe. You have to be a role model for people. And you went ahead and lied?" Then all the gods were shocked. Brahma lied? Yeah. Brahma just hung his head in shame. He was not really proud. He did it in the heat of the moment, of the spur of the moment. Then he said, "Please excuse me, Maheshwara, Vishnu, everyone." Then Maheshwara, Parashiva said, "No crime goes unpunished." Just as Maheshwara said that, a fierce god called Veerabhadra sprung out of his forehead, and Shiva or Mahadeva or Parashiva, whatever you want to call him, instructed Veerabhadra, "Brahma has 5 heads, and I want you to cut off the head that lied. From now onwards, Brahma will have only 4 heads." So that was Brahma's punishment, and he turned to Ketaki. And he said, "Ketaki, why? You have spent so many years with me. Didn't you know lying is bad?" Ketaki also hung his head in shame, and then Parashiva said, "Look, the thing is, I don't want to be worshipped with you anymore. I thus declare to all my devotees never to worship me with the Ketaki flowers." Ketaki was very sad. She said, No, please, that's too harsh a punishment. Please, Shiva, please." Then Shiva said, "Okay, you still cannot be worshipped. On my idol, you can't be put on my idol, but you can be used to decorate the surroundings. Never lie again." Now all the sages and everybody prayed to Parashiva and said, Narada asked him curiously, "Shiva, of all the things, why did you take the form of this flame, what are you trying to tell everyone? Then Shiva said, look, this flame represents eternity, the eternal cycle of life. There is no beginning, there is no end. It's cyclical. It keeps going on and on and on. And in this eternal cycle of life, Brahma, Vishnu and myself, Maheshwara, we have emerged. Brahma's duty is to create the universe. Vishnu's duty is to create, is to maintain the universe that Brahma has created. We all know, right? I mean, it's not enough if you just create something. You can build a house, but you have to maintain that house. So finally, when the time comes for this whole world to end, I am the one, Maheshwara, who dissolves it. So when we all have evolved from this eternal cycle of life, how can anyone argue that one is greater and one is smaller? Where is this ego? This flame represents the swallowing of people's egos. We are all here, whether the gods or the sages or the humans or the demons, we are all created with a purpose. We all have a set of duties that we have to perform. We have to lead a sattvic life. So there is nobody greater, there is nobody smaller. That is all I was trying to convey. And then Shiva also continued and he said, as a symbol of this flame, I will take the form of a lingam, the Shiva Linga that you all have seen, and whoever worships me in my lingam form or the linga form will be devoid of false egos, will be duty bound. And in other words, when someone comes to me to pray, I want them to put their egos aside and pray to me with devotion, without any false sense of greatness or smallness, or without looking down on anyone, or without belittling anyone. So this kind of ends the story. After that, of course, everyone just went back to their duties, went back to their homes, and the legend, the story also ends saying that Shiva took the form of that lingam on top of Mount Arunachala. And the day when he took the form of that lingam is celebrated as Shivaratri. So this brings just this one story to an end. There are 1,000 such stories in each Purana. If you are interested, read the originals or read the abridged versions as the one that I showed you. But there is, as I also told you last time, every story in our scriptures carries a message with it. It's not just for entertainment. And also there is one more thing. Here the major message is given by Lord Shiva himself. He showed us that there is no place for ego when we are all part of the same power that created us. All of us have come from the same source. Yes, that is the larger message. But in my opinion, in every story there is a personal message. There is something that strikes us as something valid. That moral can be mine but need not be yours, and vice versa. So what I suggest is, when you listen to a story, immediately write down the parts or remember the parts that appeal to you and then mull over it. That is the way a Puranic or any scriptural story needs to be read. To me personally, when I read this story of the fight between Brahma and Vishnu and how Shiva solved it, what I thought was, most of the fights start with one person getting angry, right? Most of the time, two people are never angry at the same time. If the other person can somehow not escalate the fight, for example, you are having a fight with your friend or your boss or your parents or whoever. Or on the other hand, your friend is angry with you. Let's take that example. So immediately, instead of, adding fuel to fire, if you can somehow leave the space or not escalate that fight, stop the fight right there from your end, then it will not, lead to a war like the one that was led between Brahma and Vishnu. So yes, there it was a battleground and the weapons were thrown, but here once again the battleground is our mind. What gets destroyed? Our peace of mind. Any fight that you fight, whether you win or lose, you know what? You are never peaceful. We all have to strive to be in a state of peace and bliss so that we can get the work done that we are supposed to do. Okay, now let's think of you as the one who is being angry. Then what can you do? If the other person is angry, yes, you know what? You can just decide, I'm not going to escalate this fight, I'm just going to leave the space, I'm going to leave the place. So, what happens if you are angry? Most of the time, we hear people, when I'm angry, I just do things, I just throw things, I just say things, but you know what? I don't even mean any of them. So, the first step is to be aware when that anger or unrest arises in us. You may say, no, I will never know when my anger rises, but that's not true. It's just that you're not observing yourself. So start small. For 1 hour a day, designate and think, this 1 hour, I will catch my anger or my unrest at the very beginning and I will distract myself. I will not feed that anger. I will not think about what is upsetting me. So that way, if you avert that moment, when you are going to fight with someone, when you are going to confront with someone, it will never lead to a fight. And it will lead to your peace of mind, their peace of mind, more work done, and more harmony and peace in the world, right? So I think that's my take home. And also, you know what, there is also the third thing that I always think. In most fights, it happens when two people are fighting, people take sides. The onlookers take sides. Like how some of the gods took Brahma's side, some of the gods took Vishnu's side. So instead of that, that's once again adding fuel to the fire. If two people are fighting, like how Shiva did, try to bring in peace instead of taking sides and adding more to that fight. So that is today's story, and I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you. See you next time. Namaste.